Meghan Markle is the woman who has turned victimhood into a business model.
Watch this carefully.
The desperation at the moment of Meghan, it's like completely exhausting.
Let's talk about the moment a single fashion request allegedly turned into a Paris-wide cautionary tale. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A public figure tries to turn a comeback into a movement. Style as statement, luxury as message, branding wrapped in empowerment. In Montecito, in a pristine home office, a woman known globally for headlines and heat opens her laptop.
Meghan rushes off to Paris to go and steal that. You could see her trying to get any photo she could with any paparazzi that was there. You could see her walking openly in crowds, which is just hilarious.
She's not browsing.
She's building.
White, ethical leather to match the sustainability narrative. Gold hardware to mirror the jewelry aesthetic. And the twist, her own words, an empowerment quote, engraved into the metal. Not a purchase. A proclamation. A Birkin, redesigned as a signature. Timed for a charity gala, with a rollout plan, color swatches, copy lines, and PR angles already drafted. That was the brief, according to people who say they saw it. Here's the problem. Hermès doesn't play by collaboration culture. They're a house of no. No to speed. No to trends. No to just this once. One artisan, one bag, 18 to 24 hours of handwork, and a wait list measured in years. You don't tell Hermès who they are. They tell you who may sit at the table. That's the mythology. That's the moat. When the request hit Paris, sources say the reply was a single sentence, a masterclass in velvet-gloved steel. Madam, Hermès does not accept external creative direction on heritage pieces. No meeting. No circle back. No room to negotiate. Translate the subtext. We are the custodians. You are the client. We do legacy. You do logistics. Thank you for your interest. Now pause. Most people would let the silence stand. But the follow-ups began, allegedly. Stylists calling contacts, PR nudging PR, a polite insistence that this was a modern opportunity. Ethical luxury meets a global platform. You're missing a younger audience, one message reportedly suggested. In most industries, that pitch lands. In luxury heritage, it offends. In Paris, it travels. And this is where the story tilts. The rejection, once private, started echoing. Quietly, inside the ateliers, along the rows of tape-marked floors and spools of thread, in the green rooms and editor group chats you never see. The detail that stuck? The engraving. Not the leather, not the gold, not the timeline. The quote. Her quote. As if a Birkin needed borrowed meaning. Harsh?
Yes.
Paris can be. But that's the city. Couture rules are strict, and they aren't yours. From there, everything that followed seemed to carry the weight of that no. Paris Fashion Week. A front-row appearance. Cameras everywhere, smiles that stopped millimeters before sincerity. The performance looked confident on the surface, but insiders whispered a different read. Borrowed wardrobe, not partnership. Access, not endorsement. In a hierarchy obsessed with who buys, who's gifted, and who returns with tags, that difference matters. Fair or not, perception became narrative, and narrative hardened into lesson. Then came the move that turned whispers into a wall. Reports claimed there was filming in the Pont l'Alma tunnel, the site of a tragedy stitched into Europe's cultural memory. Some call it homage. Others call it a line you don't cross for content. In a city that grieves in stone and silence, even a rumor was enough to close doors. And once Paris closes a door, it doesn't slam. It lets you hear the lock. This is the anatomy of a reputation moment. A request intended as power signaling collides head-on with a house that defines power by refusal. A follow-up intended as persistence reads as presumption. An appearance meant to prove relevance becomes a proof point for the opposite. Suddenly, a name turns into a verb. Don't pull a Meghan. PR teams allegedly warn. Don't overplay the pitch. Don't try to direct heritage. Don't turn no into a negotiation in public. Let's zoom out. Why did this catch fire? Because the stakes aren't really about a bag. They're about authorship. In the influencer era, celebrity controls the story. The caption, the cut, the cause. In heritage luxury, the house controls the story. The archive, the atelier, the artisan. One world believes audience is authority. The other believes time is authority. When those worlds collide, somebody's authorship gets rejected. This time, Paris chose the archive. And yet, here's the part no one wants to say out loud. The strategy wasn't ridiculous. On paper, ethical Birkin with an empowerment engraving is smart marketing. It ties personal brand to product, values to valuables, cost to couture. It's not the idea that failed. It's the venue. You don't test disruption at the altar of tradition. You build your own temple, or you pick a house that's hungry enough to say yes. There's an alternate timeline where this pitch goes to a different maison, one craving heat, one willing to gamble on a polarizing collaborator. Co-create a new silhouette. Launched a limited capsule with transparent sourcing and traceable hides. Bake philanthropy into the release. Tell the story on your own platform, not theirs. Control remains yours because you're not borrowing credibility, you're funding it. But that's not this timeline. In this one, the engraving request became a punchline. The backstage body language became a signal. The tunnel rumor became a verdict. And the single sentence from Hermès became the pull quote of 1,000 off-record conversations. We don't accept external creative direction. Translation, for anyone planning a comeback through couture. In some rooms, your audience doesn't matter. Your algorithm doesn't matter. Only lineage does. So what now? If you're writing a playbook, here are the chapters. Chapter 1. Read the room. Heritage houses are temples of refusal. A no is not a door to push. It's the architecture. If the story you want to tell requires control, pick a partner who needs you, or fund it yourself. Chapter 2. Let the quiet stay quiet. Private rejection is survivable. Public insistence is not. The minute a no becomes narrative, you've ceded frame to the other side, and Paris owns the frame factory. Chapter 3. Beware of reverence as content. Tributes to icons are measured in generosity, not geography. If the homage misreads grief as theater, the audience will revolt, and the city will remember. Chapter 4. Never let desperation style you. Borrowed looks can be chic when they read as curation. They read as desperation when the subtext is, I had to ask. In luxury, the loudest thing you can wear is the perception that you didn't have to. Chapter 5. Own your origin. The strongest comeback doesn't beg for a seat, it builds a table. That means new product, new partners, new channels, and a willingness to take the slow road to permanence instead of the shortcut to a headline. And here's the paradox. The story hurt precisely because it almost worked. It had timing. It had a hook. It had a cause angle. It had a stage. But the protagonist tried to borrow a crown from a throne that doesn't lend. The result wasn't just a no. It was a lesson exported across an industry. When you ask a cathedral to move its altar, expect a tour of the exit. If you've stayed with me this far, you know this isn't about one woman, one bag, or 1 week in Paris. It's about the fight for narrative control in a culture where fame and legacy keep trying to annex each other's territory. One side worships speed, the other worships slowness. One side monetizes attention, the other monetizes exclusion. When they clash, it isn't a scandal. It's a syllabus.